Throughout the 30s, there were all manner of boxing trips, boxing exhibitions and boxing stunts. 1938 was a great year for tiny West Australian athlete Decima Norman, who won 5 gold medals at the Empire Games in Sydney. A year later, Europe was walking in the shadow of war after Hitler's Nazi forces had stormed Poland. Britain declared war on Germany, and once again, young men on both sides of the Tasman enlisted in their thousands. Families were torn apart as fathers, husbands and sons set sail for battle once again. On the boxing front, the Ron Richards and Fred Henneberry blood feud continued. Richards was outwardly a real success story, but the night he accounted for Aussie Stewart in this fight, he was also fighting a losing battle against booze and depression. Ironically, 2 of his best performances came in defeats. In 1940 against this man, Archie, one of the greatest boxers ever. World champions dodged Moore for years, and it wasn't until he was nearly 40 that he finally got a shot at the world light heavyweight title and won. Meanwhile, Henneberry had moved to New York and fought a draw at Madison Square Garden with the world's #3 middleweight Georgie Abrams, a fighter who would later match it with Sugar Ray Robinson. But Henneberry will always be remembered for his battles with Ron Richards. Fred returned home, and appropriately his last fight was against his arch-rival. True to form, Fred was disqualified. Fiery Fred won 60 out of 85 fights, 31 by KO. He was always in superb condition, he never smoked, and despite running pubs, never touched a drop. Sadly, it was the opposite for Ron Richards. Once his career was over, drink got the better of him, and many times he was bashed by thugs eager to say they had beaten a legend. In 1967, shortly before his death, he visited Sydney Stadium for one last look, and ring announcer Ray Connolly remembers the occasion well.
Of all the fights and all of the personalities that I'd been given to introduce, there was never one that exceeded the response the crowd gave to Ron Richards. He came down in a three-piece striped blue suit, and when I introduced him and he came through the ranks, as one they rose.
Not long after, Richards died of a heart attack, and Fred Henneberry, Jimmy Carruthers, George Barnes and Vic Patrick were among Richards' pallbearers.